As the 75th NATO summit is about to begin, China and Belarus are staging a joint military exercise just miles from Belarus's border with Poland and Ukraine. The 11-day exercise started on Monday. China says the event will include hostage rescue operations and counter-terrorism missions. Belarus has been one of Russia's key allies in the Kremlin's war on Ukraine. Russia used Belarus as a launching pad for some of its troops when it launched the invasion in 2022. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on the final day of a two-day visit to Russia. It's the first time he's been in the country since Russian President Vladimir Putin's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Modi is set to attend official talks at the Kremlin today. Discussions, his office says, will further cement the two nations' strategic partnership. Ivan Watson joins me from Hong Kong. It's quite profound what we're seeing here, Ivan.
Well, this is a partnership between India and Russia that really goes back to the days of the Cold War and the Soviet Union. And what Narendra Modi is doing now is reaffirming that and talking about deepening that friendship. So these are very important symbols, the scenes of these two leaders embracing themselves on the steps of Vladimir Putin's residence outside of Moscow. Modi making this pilgrimage to Moscow, and in comments that he made just an hour or so ago, saying, quote, "This is a relationship built on a foundation of mutual trust and mutual respect." Now, the Indian side says that the two leaders in talks later today, they will be discussing defense ties that, again, go back to the Cold War. India buys a lot of Russian-made weapons. Trade ties. Today, India buys a lot of cheap, discounted Russian fuel that used to go to European countries that have now put sanctions on the Kremlin for its full-fledged invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Modi has demonstrated that is not a problem for him, that he is willing to deepen his relationship with Russia despite the ongoing war. To date, the Indian government has not condemned that invasion. In fact, in comments today, Narendra Modi thanked Putin for helping secure the safe exit of Indian university students who were trapped by Russia's invasion of Ukraine back in 2022, despite the fact that it was the invasion that put those students in harm's way in the first place. So we're expecting to hear a little bit more. Modi has said that the Indian government will be opening consulates, for example, in the Russian cities of Yekaterinburg and Kazan moving forward. Meanwhile, he's come under some pretty harsh criticism from no one less than the president of Ukraine himself, Volodymyr Zelensky, who pointed out that the same day that Modi was embracing Putin, the Ukrainians are accusing Russia of firing a cruise missile at a children's hospital in Kyiv, where Zelensky tweeted 37 people were killed, 170 injured, including 13 children. He went on to write, quote, "It is a huge disappointment and a devastating blow to peace efforts to see the leader of the world's largest democracy hug the world's most bloody criminal in Moscow on such a day." No official response from the Indian government yet to that criticism. The U.S. government has said it is watching this closely, and here's what a State Department spokesman had to say about Modi's trip to Moscow.
India is a strategic partner with whom we engage in a full and frank dialogue, and that includes on our concerns about their relationship with Russia.
So the symbolism here, of course, is important. The West has been trying to isolate Vladimir Putin, and with this visit, he's able to show that those efforts are failing to some degree, and he's also offering some counter-programming to the upcoming scenes we're expecting as the NATO summit, his arch rivals, will be convening in Washington this week. Max.
How do you think this speaks to the two axes we've got here, very much embodied by the NATO meeting and various meetings between leaders outside NATO?
Well, here's where it gets complicated, Max, because yes, Narendra Modi has traveled to Moscow. He's made it clear that he has his own independent foreign policy that is not completely subject to U.S. whims, for example. But that does not mean that he is cozying up to the growing partnership between Russia, China, Iran, Belarus, and North Korea. In fact, relations between New Delhi and Beijing are not in a good place. They haven't been for years. The Indian and Chinese armies have fought deadly skirmishes along their disputed border in the Himalayan mountains. And just last week, Modi skipped a gathering of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. It was meeting in Kazakhstan. That is this regional security grouping that is largely led by China. And I think it was a snub to the Chinese leader, Xi Jinping. In fact, some Indian experts I talked to, they suggest that by going to Moscow, Modi is actually trying to pull Putin to his side to some degree as he watches Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping, their alliance blossom. So that may be at the heart of some of what Modi's doing here. Max.
Okay, thank you so much, Ivan.